Module 1, Session 2. Session 2 will cover Learning Outcome 5.1.1, Part 1. Use simple growth formulae. Learning Outcome 5.1.1, Part 1. Use simple growth formulae to solve problems. Both simple and compound interest were covered in levels 2 and 3. Students are usually competent when working with simple interest by the time they get to level 4, but compound interest still tends to be problematic, particularly working with different compounding periods. Students should by now be very familiar with the following concepts. Interest, the cost of borrowing money or money earned on savings or investments. Capital I, interest in rands. R, interest rate in percentage form. I, interest rate in decimal form. In other words, I equals R over 100. Principal amount, the initial amount of money borrowed or invested. Accumulated amount, the total of the principal amount and the interest on that amount. Term, the investment period. Let's start off by revisiting the simple growth formula. A equals P open brackets 1 plus IN close brackets. Simple interest is always calculated on the initial amount invested only. Students should remember that the simple interest formula is a linear or straight line function. The rate of growth stays constant of time. Let's take a look at an example. Our lecturer will demonstrate both methods we can use when working with formulae.
Let's look at the following problem. Nandi borrowed money from a financial institution 2 years ago. She must now pay back a total of 10,440 Rand. The loan accrued simple interest at a rate of 8% per year. Determine the amount that she borrowed from the financial institution. The formula used to calculate simple interest is as follows. It is equation number 24 in your formula sheet. A in the equation is the accumulated amount payable at the end of the loan period, or the total accumulated amount available at the end of the invested period. P in the equation is the principal amount borrowed or invested. I is the interest rate per annum, and N is the number of years. Now looking at the problem, we see that Nandi borrowed money from a financial institution 2 years ago. Therefore, the N value in this problem is 2 years. The interest rate I, as you can see, is 8% per year. The amount that she must pay back is a total of 10,440. This is also known as the accumulated amount. Therefore, the A value in the formula, or the accumulated value, is 10,440 Rand. It is important to remember that we need to write the percentage, the 8%, as a decimal fraction. So it will be written as 8 over 100. Now that we have these values, we can then go ahead and substitute them into the formula. The amount, or the variable that we need to calculate, is P. The next step that we need to take is that we need to isolate P. We do this by dividing the right-hand side and the left-hand side of the equation by the variable that is attached to P. Cancelling out the top and the bottom, we are left with P is equal to this factor. Simplifying the equation, we get P is equal to 10,440 divided by 1.16, and this gives us a final answer of 9,000 Rand. Therefore, the principal amount, or the amount that Nandi borrowed, is calculated to be 9,000 Rand. An alternative way of solving the problem is by looking at the simple interest formula and then isolating P. And we do this in the same manner where we divide both the right-hand side and the left-hand side of the equation by the term in brackets. We cancel out like terms, and we are left with P is equal to A over 1 plus IN. Once again, if we substitute these values into this formula, we get the same answer as we had got in method 1. So once again, the amount of money Nandi borrowed is calculated to be 9,000 Rand.
Try this activity on your own. Here, we need to find the interest rate. Let's watch a lecturer work through the solution. For the rest of this topic, our lecturers will first use the method of substituting and then manipulating for the examples. But you as lecturers need to work out for yourselves which method is best suited to your students.
Using simple and compound interest to explain and define a variety of situations. Given the situation, calculate the interest rate at which Gwenya must invest a 5,000 Rand to have 10,000 Rand after 9 years if simple interest is applied. So, simple interest. SI is equal to A. SI, A is equal to P into 1 plus I times N. There we go. So, let's write down what we're given. Quickly. Given, you've got the final amount, which is A, equals to 10,000 Rand. And then you've got your principal amount of 5,000 Rand. And you've got the number of years, which is 9. You need to find I. I is equal to unknown. Substitute into the formula. Divide both sides by 5,000. So, working from your calculator, for the sake of practicality and visual aid, 1, 2, 3, divided by 5,000, it's 2. So 2 is equal to this, cancels this, so you're left with 1 plus I times 9. So let's transpose the 1 to the other side. 2 minus 1 is equal to 9i. So 1 is equal to 9i. We want I, so let's divide both sides by 9. So we have 1 divided by 9 gives you 0.11 recurring is equal to I. Your interest is given as a percentage. Therefore, your R should be equal to I times 100, which should be equal to 0.11 times 100, which is therefore your interest rate is 11%. So calculate the interest rate at which Kenya must invest 5,000 to have 10,000 after 9 years. Kenya must invest at 11% interest rate. Simple, applied.
People often buy expensive items like cars, appliances, or furniture on hire purchase because they cannot afford to pay the full amount upfront. Hire purchase or HP agreements allow the buyer to pay for the item over a number of months. The seller usually requires a deposit to be paid upfront, and there is often a monthly insurance charge. Interest paid is always calculated as simple interest. Students need to know how to solve hire purchase problems in Level 4. Try to solve this hire purchase problem on your own or with a partner. Now saw an advertisement for a digital camera. Calculate the accumulated amount on hire purchase. 1. Calculate the total amount that Neo would pay if he buys the camera on hire purchase. 2. How much more would Neo pay on hire purchase than if he paid cash? Let's watch a lecturer work through the solution.
Let us look at the following problem. Neo saw an advertisement for a digital camera. The camera was available for 2,999 Rand for cash. The camera was also available on hire purchase. If the camera were to be bought on hire purchase, a 10% deposit would be required. It would be paid off over a period of 2 years. 15% interest would be charged, and a monthly insurance of 15 Rand and 60 cents would be required. Now, the interest paid on a hire purchase agreement is calculated using the simple interest formula. This equation is number 24 on your equation sheet. Now, the first question asks us to calculate the accumulated amount on hire purchase. As I mentioned, the interest paid on hire purchase is calculated using this formula. When buying an item on hire purchase, a deposit is usually required. In this case, the deposit value is 10% of the original item. So, we're given this formula. We need to first calculate the deposit. And this is because the principal amount that we will plug into this equation, the principal amount is the value of the item minus the deposit. So we need to begin by calculating the deposit that will be paid on the item. And as indicated in the advertisement, it's 10% of the original price. This gives us a value of 299 Rand 90 cents. Therefore, the principal amount is the original value of the product minus the deposit paid. And this in turn gives us a value of 2,699 Rand and 10 cents. Now, we can then calculate the accumulated amount on the hire purchase using this formula. P is our calculated value, the principal amount value. I is given as 15% per annum. And N, which is the number of years, is given as 2 years. We then simply go ahead and plug in the values into the equation. On simplifying the equation, we get a final amount of 3,508 Rand and 83 cents. Therefore, the accumulated amount on the hire purchase is 3,508 Rand and 83 cents. The second part of the problem asks us to calculate the total amount and the monthly amount that Neo would pay if he buys the camera on hire purchase. We begin by calculating the total amount that he would pay. The total amount is calculated by adding the initial deposit that he would be required to pay, the accumulated depreciation amount calculated, as well as the monthly insurance of 15 Rand 60 cents. The deposit, as calculated in the previous question, was 299 Rand 90 cents. The accumulated amount, which was also calculated in the previous question, was 3,508 Rand and 83 cents. And lastly, the monthly insurance, as you can see in the advertisement, is 15 Rand and 60 cents. But this needs to be multiplied by 24 months, because it's a 2-year period and there are 12 months in a year, so we get 24 months. Therefore, we multiply the monthly insurance by 24 months. And we get a final answer of 4,183 Rand and 13 cents. Therefore, the total amount that Neo would pay if he bought the camera is 4,183 Rand and 13 cents. The second part of the question asks us to calculate Neo's monthly amount that he would be required to pay. Now, the monthly amount consists of the monthly amount is the accumulated amount plus the monthly insurance and this is divided by the total number of months, which as we calculated was 24 months. So the monthly amount is equal to 23 Rand divided by 24, which gives us an answer of 161 Rand and 80 cents. And this is the amount that Neo would be required to pay monthly for 2 years. The last part of the question reads, how much more would Neo pay on hire purchase than if he paid cash? Now recall the total amount of hire purchase that we had calculated in the previous question was 4,183 Rand and 13 cents. In order to find out how much more he would pay on hire purchase than if he paid on cash, we just simply take the difference of this amount minus the cash price. and the cash price was given as 2,999 Rand. And we get a value of 1,184 Rand 13 cents. Therefore, Neo would pay 1,184 Rand 13 cents more on hire purchase than if he paid with cash. We can also calculate the percentage difference. We simply take the difference of the hire purchase amount and the cash price value. We divide the sum by the original price, which is the cash price, and we multiply the sum or the equation by 100 in order to get it into a percentage value. And we are left with a value of 39.48%. Therefore, Neo would pay 39.48% more on hire purchase than if he paid on cash, with cash.